Hi, I'm Florence Dowrick, a MajorTim.space Honorary Young Ambassador. Today, I'm back interviewing Graeme Hall. Graeme, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, Florence. I'm Graeme Hall, that dog fella off the telly, presenter of Dogs Behaving Very Badly, and writer of a couple of books as well.
Right. Graeme, you are very well known for your TV shows and books about dogs, but which came first, your TV shows or your book writing?
Oh, the TV show did, really. So I'd been training dogs for people for kind of many years. When the TV people kind of came to me and gave me a call one day and said, "Would you like to come and talk to us about maybe a TV show?" And then the books came after that. So I wrote the first one in 2020, middle of the lockdown, and that went very well. People seemed to like it, but lots of people bought it. So the publishers asked me for another one, and it went from there. So TV first, books afterwards.
What made you decide to branch out into books as well as TV?
Well, I thought that people might like to hear a bit more detail, really, about what we do, because the nature of TV is it's very quick, and you can't really explain an awful lot of the details. So the premise of the first book was, if you want to know how I do what I'm doing, it's all in the book. So because a book is about 70,000 words, so you can say an awful lot.
Which do you prefer and why?
Oh, I see. Well, they're very different, really. So I probably prefer telly, if I'm honest, because it's a bit quicker to do, and I'm interacting with people, and yeah, it takes us probably about a week or a week and a bit to do an episode. Whereas a book, well, I could take you all year, and a lot of the time you're sat doing it on your own. So it's kind of hard work, really, a book. So I guess I would have to say telly.
Yeah. You've already published a few books for adults, such as All Dogs Great and Small, Perfectly Imperfect Puppy, and Does My Dog Love Me? But now you have published The Ultimate Kids Guides to Dogs.
Ta-da!
Why did you decide to write a book for children as well?
Well, I see, by the way, you've got lots of notes on that book there. You've obviously made a good stab at reading it, because the publishers asked me is the quick answer to that. So the publishers for the adult books essentially is Penguin, and Puffin is a part of Penguin. So Puffin Children's Books came to me and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about writing a book for children?" And I thought, not really, but it sounds like a great idea. And I used to have Puffin books as a kid, so I thought, wow, amazing! Really, I used to read Puffin books. I'll be writing one. So they asked me, and I said yes straight away.
Did you find it challenging writing a book for children when your books have been for adults?
No, in fact, it was easier, to be honest, because the adult books are 70,000 words and lots of detail, and the children's book, because it's fully illustrated by a lady called Alice Tate, who did a great job, by the way. It's about, the words is about 10,000 words, and it's just great fun, really, So people who know me think I'm a big kid anyway, so it seems to come naturally.
Yeah. I've read in your book that dogs can't see red on this page here, but our dog loves to chase a red laser pointer. Can you tell us how she's able to see this?
Yeah, right. Well, they don't see red in the sense that they can't distinguish red from other colours. So they can see red, but it looks all a bit muddy to them. But a laser pointer is super bright. So she's probably not seeing it red as you see it, but she is seeing a bright thing sort of moving around the wall. So there you go. But so yeah, it's by the way, you're going to be a bit careful with that, because some dogs become a bit obsessed with it and then want to chase every shadow and bright thing across the wall. It can become a problem.
I love the pictures in this book. How did you find Alice Tate, your illustrator for The Ultimate Kids Guide to Dogs, and what did you like about her style of illustration?
Right. Well, that's a great question. The illustrators often work for different publishers, and so the publishers know lots of different illustrators as well. So when we were first talking about the book, we said, right, obviously we're going to need an illustrator, and they pointed me in the direction of 3 different people, and they've all got quite different styles, and they're all good. But Alice's style, I thought, it's kind of cartoony, it's quirky. it's sort of realistic, but it's sort of fun as well, you know. And I thought she captured dogs and dogs' expressions really well, because she got a dog herself, so that was a bit of a deciding factor as well. Because I think if you've got a dog, it's easier to to draw them in a way that kind of reflects their characters, if that makes sense. So that was a big reason why we chose her.
It says at the very front of your book that the book is dedicated to your favorite puppies, Huey and Clara. Can you tell us who they are?
I think that's Alice's book, Alice's dogs. So yeah, so my dedication was to my grandchildren, actually. So I think I'm guessing Huey and Clara must be Alice's dogs.
Right. It says in your book that there are lots of different kinds of dogs, and you list some of them here.
Yep.
I've managed to find ours. We have a King Charles Spaniel, if I can find the right page.
Yeah.
Here they are. Our dog doesn't quite match the description in your book as graceful. She's a little bit of a Molly, but we do love her. What is your favourite breed of dogs?
Good question. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, by the way, because not all dogs of the same breed are the same, of course, because they're all individuals, just a bit like people, really. My favourite breed, it's really hard to answer, because from day to day, week to week, I work with different dogs, and every now and again you fall in love with a dog and think, oh, it's lovely, you know. So if you ask me the question next week, you might get a different answer. But I always come back to Rottweilers, because I used to have 2 Rotties many years ago. They got me into dog training, so I've got a real soft spot for Rotties. But also, I've lived with a boxer more recently, and he died about 2-3 months ago now, I suppose. And he was a big character, and they're kind of jokers, you know. So I quite like them. But yeah, honestly, the truth is, I sort of love all dogs, and every now and again, you just meet an individual dog and go, wow, you're a really good advert for Border Collies or Pugs or Afghan Hounds or whatever it is. So there you go. So it's not a really clear answer, but it's an honest answer.
The sections on dog body language and how to speak with dogs were actually really interesting and useful. I didn't realise that dogs use their ears and their paws in specific ways depending on their moods. Here's the page here.
Yeah.
What would you say was the most surprising fact that you learned while doing research for this book?
Yeah, that's really good. Perhaps one of the surprising, because some of what's in the children's book comes from research I did for one of the previous books as well, which is Does My Dog Love Me? I suppose we're learning all the time different things about how dogs perceive the world and how they read us, you know. So I think one of the surprising things is that that dogs, when they're reading us, they look at your forehead, and that's because your eyebrows move a lot. And your eyebrows is what makes your eyes expressive. So if you're kind of surprised, you might do this, you know, raise your eyebrows. Or if you're frowning, it's like the eyebrows are down. And so dogs are looking at eyebrows quite a bit, because actually it's a shortcut to knowing what's going on. So yeah, and I think a lot of the dog body language stuff, in terms of us reading them, I kind of knew that intuitively. I suppose we're working with thousands of dogs, you know, after a while you can just sort of, you know, you can look at a dog and think, oh, I think we might be in trouble here, or oh, that's good, I think this dog's happy, you know. So it's just a case of writing down. And as I say, Alice did a great job, because describing to somebody what you need a dog to look like in an illustration isn't easy. Well, it's not easy for them to write it, to draw it. So I thought she did a very good job.
I also really loved the quiz at the back, which is like testing all the knowledge that you've written down in the book. Yeah. Where did the idea for including the quiz come from?
Oh, that was me, really, because I mean, we all have a quiz, don't we? So I was talking to the editor one day, and I said, wouldn't it be funny if we had a couple of things at the back, you know, because when you get a book, you don't want to just read it, do you? You know, it's not one way all the time. So you have a quiz, it gets the old grey matter going, and yeah, I thought it'd be quite good fun as well. I thought we'll throw some fun questions in there as well. So yeah, we had a bit of a laugh putting that together.
Your signature at the end of the book, if I can show you here, has a little paw print under it. Did you do this just for the book, or is this your actual signature?
Yeah, that's my signature. So it's not the same signature I write on anything to do with my bank account, I hasten to add. So you won't be able to sign any checks in my name, I'm afraid. But yeah, no, if you meet me and buy a book and I sign your book for you, I'll stick a paw print on it. So and particularly for children, actually. So sometimes with adults, if I'm in a mad hurry, the paw print has to go by the wayside. But for kids, always a paw print and a smiley face as well. There's always a smiley face in my signature.
Do you have any more books planned?
Not at a minute, but I'm hoping that if enough people buy this one, they'll want another one. So that's kind of how it works, really. If it's popular, they'll probably come back to me and ask me for more. In terms of adult books, I think we're probably going to give it a rest for 2025, but we're already talking about a possible book for 2026 because it's that far ahead that you actually plan these things. But children's books, I'm keeping my fingers crossed because it's sold really, really well, and I'm hoping they'll ask me to do another because it was good fun to do it.
Is there also another series of dogs behaving very badly on the way?
There is. So the last one was Series 6 in the UK, and we're now producing Series 7. So, and if anybody was watching this from Australia, we've done 2 series now of dogs behaving very badly in Australia as well. So, yeah, that's still very much rumbling on. And as soon as I finish this interview, I'm on the road because I've got to get somewhere ready to be filming tomorrow. So yeah, it's all go. It's all good.
I'll look forward to seeing that new series dropping.
Good.
In 2022, you did a Dog Father live tour, and sometimes you still do Q&A events. Are you planning to do any more tours or events?
That's interesting. I haven't got a tour plan because we're busy making the television show at the moment. And for the last 2 years, as soon as I finished the UK one, I've been flying to Australia. So that's why we haven't done one in 23 or 24. I love doing the live events. It's great fun. What I do quite a bit is a book talk. So quite often the literary festivals, the book festivals, they might book people, well, authors really, to have a little chat. And with mine, I always say to people interviewing me, don't spend the whole hour just interviewing me because people are dying to ask questions. So usually about half of it is live Q&A, and yeah, people can just ask anything out of the blue. So yeah, if you keep an eye out on my social media and all the rest of it, if there's another one coming up, we'll post it on there.
Do you enjoy traveling for your TV show and tours?
Yeah, I do actually. Luckily, it's a good job, isn't it? Really, but I like driving, and I'm quite well known for my white Land Rover as it crisscrosses the country with my dog registration. But yeah, I do. I don't mind driving at all. Luckily, I don't mind flying, which is just as well because it's a long old flight to Australia. So yeah, I think if I didn't, I probably couldn't do this job.
Through your TV shows and books, you are obviously able to reach a very wide audience and help many people, but do you still get much chance to work with people on a one-to-one basis?
Yeah, sadly, not so much these days. Well, we are working with people on a one-to-one basis when we're doing it for the telly, of course, you know, but not so much private work. So I haven't done one now for about 2 years, and that's because it's just full on doing the UK show. So typically we'll be filming for about 4 days out of 5. Sometimes I'm traveling at the weekend as well. So I just haven't got the time to do it at the moment. So the bookings have been closed for quite a while, I'm afraid, which is a shame because it's actually quite a lot easier to do than actually doing it for the telly when you've got a TV crew alongside you. So yeah, so that's the truth. Excuse me. I got a tickly cough.
You've had celebrities on the show Dogs Behaving Very Badly, including Alexandra Bear.
Yeah, go on.
Did you feel intimidated working with such a high-profile people, and are there any other celebrity specials planned for the future?
No, I can't say I did because the bottom line is they're all people, you know, celebrities. So, and when you work in telly, you meet quite a few along the way as well, sometimes off screen. So, and you know, most of them are nice people. So, The only thing with celebrities, it takes them a bit longer to get their hair and makeup done. Probably the biggest celebrity that I've worked with was on ITV this morning, actually, because I do a fairly regular spot on that as well. And last year, very end of last year, I worked with the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, and I spoke to her on the show live about the Queen's Corgis, because she now looks after the Queen's Corgis, the late Queen's Corgis. So that was a wee bit more daunting. You don't want to give the wrong advice to the Duchess of York live on air, do you? But yeah, they're just people like the rest of us, you know.
Mm. Our dog Coco is a terrible and shameless food thief, and will eat any food she can get access to, as well as Lego, Play-Doh, and sometimes even tissues she just finds in the bin. We always try to make sure that no food is being left on the tables and no toys are left lying around, but she always seems to manage to find something that she should not eat. Do you have any advice on how to discourage this?
Depends what she's doing it for, but it sounds like it could be attention seeking. If she steals, does she, question for you then, does she steal something and make sure you've seen that she's got it? Kind of like, look what I've got. Does she do that?
Sometimes you can like see her out of the corner of your eye, just like running to her cage and just like lying with her face turned away from you, but you can tell she's got something.
Okay, so it might be that she's attention seeking, because if she steals something that people go running after, of course, understandably. Or it could just be that she just likes the feeling of playing with things, you know, that everything's hers, either food or it's a toy for a dog. That's possible. What I would do, since we know that that she's very keen for food because she steals it, you could reward her if she turns away from a toy. So you put a toy on the floor. You could have her on lead if necessary, so she can't quite get to it. And then when she sort of gives up and turns away, you can give her a treat from the opposite direction for making the choice to turn away from the toy. Does that make sense?
Mm.
So you're going, if you don't steal a toy, we'll give you a little treat. Now, the treats you want to take out of a daily allowance of food, because otherwise you'll end up with a pretty fat dog. But yeah, so that's a very brief bit of advice. That's the kind of direction I'd be going in.
Do you prefer training dogs through your TV show or on a one-to-one basis?
I think they're both different. So TV show is interesting because it's good because it helps lots and lots of people. You know, I can help one person with their dog, and I mean, typically over 1 million people watch it live, and loads of people watch it. You know, downloaded. So so that show then is helping lots and lots of people with their dog, I hope, you know. And so sometimes people come up to me and say, you know, thanks because we saw the show and got a little tip. So that's all great. It's good. And I quite like the challenge of, you know, thinking on my feet and saying something that's nice and clear for the telly, so it's easy to understand when it comes back out, you know. But the nature of making telly is it's pretty slow and laborious, and you know, we film things sort of over and again. Even knocking on somebody's door, we usually knock on the door 3 times because there'll be 3 different angles of the shot, you know. So it does make it a long day, and it's a bit frustrating until you get used to it. So I can probably do in a private one-to-one in probably 3 hours what I do in 10 hours worth of a film shoot or TV shoot. So I like them both. I don't think you could sort of say I like one more than the other, really. I'm kind of looking forward to doing the odd private one-to-one again when I get a moment, because it'd be a lot easier than telling.
Do you find that most of the time dog behavior is caused by incorrect actions or training from owners?
It often is about the owners. I mean, to put it another way, you can only change a dog through the owners, because after I've gone, that's who they're left with, isn't it? And it's often the case that people have got it wrong. So people get the messages mixed up. They get the timing wrong. So, for example, if you've got a dog that barks for whatever reason, you know, maybe he's barking at people who walk past outside. When he goes quiet, nobody thinks to say good boy, because we're kind of annoyed with him still. So when he was barking, we were telling him off. And when he goes quiet, if you're not careful, people are like, you're a bad boy, I've told you before. So the dog's thinking, well, if I bark or if I don't bark, you seem unhappy with me, so I don't understand. So quite often people don't realise that's the effect it has on the dog. So mainly by accident, people have caused their own problems, if you like, and I do my best to sort of help them get over that.
What advice would you give to young people looking to work in dog training?
Oh, that's a good one. I would volunteer if you can with if there's a local rescue that can accommodate you as a young person to sort of help out. I would meet lots of different dogs. If you've got friends who've got different dogs, maybe help them, take the dog for a walk, that kind of thing. The more dogs you get involved with, the more you understand them, to be honest. There are courses that you can do as well, and sometimes correspondence courses. There are books you can read, like mine, of course. But there is no substitute for experience. And I think a lot of things in life are like that. So yeah, if you can volunteer and help out somewhere or help out with your friends' dogs, it's all good experience.
Have you ever filmed for dogs behaving very badly and found that the behavior issue has been too complex to correct in the short space of filming time?
Yes and no. So we've only got a certain amount of time, and we get as far as we can get. And then I'm often saying to people, "Look, you need to carry this on," And we're very honest in the show, really. That it's like, right, good, we've done really well today. Last week, I worked with somebody who said he'd done more. He'd come further in a day in terms of changing his dog's behaviour than he had in 7 years. So that was good, wasn't it? But they've got to then keep it up. So it's not really a case of everything has to be perfect at the end of the day, although we do get big differences. However, there are times when a behavior issue is too difficult to film. So, for example, if we've got a dog that's really aggressive and would bite anybody who comes in the house, well, there's not just me to think about, of course. I can concentrate on the dog and watch the dog and maybe read the signals, and I understand dog body language. Actually, I've got a TV crew with me, so there could be 2 or 3 other people in the room, and we've got to keep them safe as well. So there are some cases which are too difficult, really, to film, and that's kind of where that comes in, really. But yeah, we never get to a case where we get to the end of the day and go, this is no good, won't work, and it never makes it. It doesn't work like that. So yeah.
How does the filming work in terms of the in-car scenes and entering a person's house to training footage?
We normally, not always, but we normally start with me in car, and they've got cameras sort of rigged inside the car, and I'm sort of chatting to the director who's in the passenger seat, So that's the bit where you'll see, today I'm in such and such a place, and I'm going to meet this dog and all the rest of it. So, so that's how we do that. By the way, there's usually a few shots of the car driving past as well. So the guy's got to get out with the camera and a tripod and film me driving up and down the road a few times. Then he's got to hop back in again, get to the house, maybe film me parking up, film me walking to the door, film me knocking on the door. And that's all before the door opens. The person says, hello, good morning. So, and that's often easy 10 o'clock in the morning, sometimes as late as 11 o'clock. So we then, if you think about it, I have to see the problem before I can fix it. So it's like, go on then, show us what the problem is. And sometimes that means we've got to go out and go to a different location. And then there's the bit where I sit them down and go, right, this is what I think the problem is, and often it can be something surprising, something I didn't expect it would be, but you react to what's going on. And then we have a bit of a lunch break, by which time it's usually 2 o'clock. And we typically start training about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon or thereabouts, So people often ask, do you really do all that training in a day? Well, some stories are 2 days where I go away and I come back another day and maybe tackle a different problem. But if we say it's a day, it's a day. But actually, it's not a day's worth of training because I probably get 2 to 3 hours max to actually train the dog, and the rest of it is just telling the story, So,
how many people does it take to make your TV show happen?
Well, that's a good question. It differs in Australia to here. In Australia, they've got much bigger teams. Here with me out on the road, there are typically 2 other people, always, sometimes 3. But back in the offices in London, there's a whole team of people. So before we even get to go see people, there's a casting team, they call them. That's the people who choose, who's going to be on the show, and they talk to people, and they do all that. We've got a little crew that goes out that films them in advance. So that's often bits that you see on the telly before I've got there. And then when all the show's been filmed, it's got to be edited, of course. So there's a whole team of editors who work together, sort of bolting the scenes together and cutting here and adding the bit here there and putting the music on top, making sure the colour's right. And then over at Channel 5, there's the commissioner, who's the boss, basically. And so they're looking at the footage and going, yeah, good, but can I have a bit more of this or a bit less of that, or can you change something? So I guess I've never really added them up here. There's got to be 20 people behind every episode, easy, and in Australia even more. So yeah, there's me at the sharp end. Nothing happens without me fixing the dog, I suppose, which puts a lot of pressure on. But there's a whole team of people, making it happen.
Yeah. Do you spend longer actually training the dogs for the TV show off camera in between shoots?
No, never. So if we say it's one day, I was there for a day and I was gone. And if we say it's 2 days, one of those where I go, right, we've got another problem, I'll come back and, I'll maybe go somewhere and come back at the end of the episode. Then yeah, that's the case. So I really only have the time that we've got to film it. So yeah, it's tough. So
do you prefer working with the British or Australian crews?
Oh, the same really, because the crews I work with are great, great people. And in fact, one of the UK guys, somebody called a producer director, went out to Australia to help the Australians sort of set up how they do it. So they're very similar. Aussies are good fun to work with. They've got a sense of humour, and the guys I work with very much do as well. So yeah, not much difference really there.
Right. This is my last question now.
Oh,
what advice for young people who want to get into TV presenting or writing books?
Oh, right, very good. It's really difficult with TV presenting because TV came to me. There's not much you can do to sort of go to a television a television show or a television producers and kind of go, please put me on the telly, I think I'd be great. It doesn't really work like that. A lot of TV presenters have done a bit of acting work. So if you really like drama at school, that might be a route that you might want to take. Do more of that. I mean, I didn't go down that route really. I've never been an actor. I'm just me being me when I'm on the telly. But a lot of presenters do have that kind of background, so that would certainly help you. In terms of working behind the scenes on television, pretty much everybody starts at the bottom, which is a job called a runner. Just literally running around here and there and grabbing things that people need. And there's a battery, and there's a new data card, and all the rest of it. So and then you work your way up. In terms of books, well, I think everything that you do in terms of writing leads to the point where you can write a book. So I many years ago did a degree in Hispanic studies. You might be surprised to hear, modern languages, Spanish essentially, but that involves translating from Spanish to English. So anything you do in terms of writing helps. Further down the line, I wrote a sort of column for a local newspaper, and that was kind of practice really. Then started doing a column for the Sunday Times, which sort of all led to the book, and then a publisher came to me and said, would you like to write a book? So if it's that kind of thing, the factual stuff, then I would say any writing you do is good, and you get better as you do it, like anything in life. So pay attention at school because it'll all be useful in the end. If it's more sort of writing a novel or that kind of thing, just get stuck in, have a go. Why not? Your best attempt is as good as anybody else's, including J.K. Rowling. There you go.
Thank you so much. It's been such an honor interviewing you the first time and now for the second time. It's been such a wonderful interview. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Florence. It's my pleasure. So thank you very much, and thank you for your questions. They were great questions. So so well done, and keep up the good work. I think you're doing a cracking job.
Thank you. Bye.
All the best. Bye.